Hey guys, welcome back to Based MMA. In this video, I'm going to be discussing double champ status, double champions, and why it should be nerfed, guys. And the reason I'm making this video is because Leon Edwards came out yesterday in an interview and said that he wants to face the winner of Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis at UFC 300 and that he wants to be the first UK double champion. And I have a big problem with this. And it does connect to the overall larger issue at hand. And let me talk about Leon Edwards specifically. First of all, this man, this AI, iRobot looking motherfucker, does not deserve to fight for double champ status. This guy has been incredibly inactive. He hasn't fought since March. He's about to have his second title defense against Colby Covington in December. It has already slowed down the welterweight division enough. And the reality is that Leon Edwards versus Colby Covington, that fight should probably already taken place in the summer. And, you know, the winner of Leon versus Colby should already be getting ready to defend their belt once again. But the problem is that for some reason, Leon Edwards, I don't know who's to blame. I don't know if Colby is to blame. I don't know if the UFC is to blame. But regardless, Leon Edwards has been incredibly inactive, and the fact that he wants to beat Colby Covington and then challenge for the middleweight title, it's like, whoa, slow down there, bro. You don't deserve it. You haven't earned it. And like I said, this does bring into question an issue at large, which is there should be a criteria for double champ, guys. There should be a criteria, and I understand that nowadays it's not enough for a UFC fighter just to be champion. You know, they want to stand apart from other champions and they want to become the first double champion. I completely understand that. But the reality is that when these fighters move to another weight class, these champions, all they do is that they slow down their division and they slow down that division. So I think that when the UFC decides what fighters are going to get the opportunity to fight for double champ status, they need to make sure that there's a criteria in place. And what is this criteria that I'm talking about? I think that for a UFC champion to get the opportunity to challenge for another belt, they need to have at least 3 title defenses in their own weight class. You know, Volkanovski, he defended his title at least 4 times before getting the shot against Islam Makhachev back in February. You know what I'm saying? He had beat, you know, Max Holloway in the rematch, right? Because I don't count the first one because that's when he won the title. So he won the Max Holloway rematch. He won against Brian Ortega. He won against Max Holloway in the trilogy. And then, no, I think before that he had beat the Korean Zombie. So you know what I'm saying? That's 4 title defenses. So Volkanovski had earned his shot at the lightweight belt, and he had pretty much cleared most of his division. You know what I'm saying? He had beat all the top contenders in the middleweight division once, if not twice, if not 3 times, like Max Holloway. So somebody like Volkanovski, he had absolutely earned a shot at the lightweight belt. And that same logic needs to be applied to the other UFC champions. And I'm a little bit afraid that the UFC might give, you know, certain champions the opportunity to move up for a belt just because they're a big star. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Aljamain Sterling, if Aljamain Sterling would have defeated Sean O'Malley at UFC 292, Aljamain Sterling would have earned a shot to become double champion because he would have beat Peter Yan in the rematch, TJ Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo, and Sean O'Malley. That's 3-4 title defenses. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, Aljamain Sterling deserves it. But somebody like Leon Edwards, who's about to, you know, have his second title defense since he hasn't fought since March, he's absolutely delusional. He does not deserve a shot at the middleweight belt. And like I said, it's not only about them having 3 title defenses to have earned a shot to challenge for another belt, but the UFC also needs to take into consideration the landscape of that division. For example, the welterweight division, there's contenders coming up. There's Shafkat Ramanov, there's Salah Muhammad. I get it. Salah Muhammad is not the most exciting fighter. It's not going to bring any hype to the pay-per-views. I completely understand that. But, you know, there's still a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions about Leon Edwards in the welterweight division. I don't really think this guy is the best in the welterweight division. I still want to see him fight guys like Shafkat. I want to see him fight Colby Covington. I want to see him fight Bilal Muhammad, see how he does in that rematch. You know what I'm saying? Because that first fight kind of ended anticlimactic because he eye poked Bilal Muhammad. So you know what I'm saying? There's still a lot of questions about Leon Edwards in the welterweight division. It's not like we're like, oh man, this guy is clearly the best in the welterweight division, so therefore he now deserves a shot at the middleweight belt. We still don't know. So he's completely delusional if he thinks that he's going to go out there and beat Colby Covington. I don't care if he knocks out Colby Covington the very first minute. He does not deserve a shot at the winner of Strickland versus Dricus Du Plessis. And also, it's not like there's no movement in the middleweight division either. There is a lot of movement because the winner of Strickland versus Dricus, is most likely going to fade Khamzat Chimaev, and then we don't know when Israel Adesanya is going to come back. So it's not like there's zero contenders in the middleweight division. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what? It kind of makes sense for Leon Edwards to challenge for the middleweight belt. There's not a lot of movement. There's not a lot of contenders. Okay, I understand that. But the reality is that there is a lot of movement right now in the middleweight division. And there's some movement happening in December in the welterweight division. So Leon Edwards, you're not going anywhere, buddy. You're staying your ass at 170. Even if you defeat Colby Covington, you don't deserve it. In my opinion, for Leon Edwards to have earned a shot at the middleweight belt, he needs at least 2 to 3 title defenses. So then we could be like, you know what? This guy's clearly the best 170. He's clearly the best welterweight. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that this ties into a larger issue in the UFC now, where I'm a little bit afraid that the UFC is going to be easily influenced to make these double champ fights, and they're going to pick and choose which fighters, where I think that the UFC should establish our criteria for all fighters, for all champions. Like, look, if you want to challenge for the double champ belt, you need to have at least 2-3 title defenses. You know what I'm saying? You must have beaten the top contenders in your weight class to have earned a shot at a higher weight class, because what ends up happening is that if they don't do that, you slow down those divisions, man. Like if Leon Edwards was to be given the opportunity to fight Dricus versus Strickland, when is Bilal going to fight him? When is Shafkat going to fight him? You know what I'm saying? So the welterweight division is already very slow as it is. And then if you give Leon Edwards the opportunity to challenge for the middleweight title, it would even destroy the division even more. So the UFC should absolutely shut that down. Leon Edwards, that's not going to happen, buddy. You need 2 to 3 title defenses. And if you want it to happen sooner than later, then you better be active. You better defend that belt, but we'll see what happens when he fights Colby Covington, because a lot of people are not convinced that Leon Edwards is necessarily going to beat Colby Covington. I see a lot of people out there picking Colby Covington to beat Leon Edwards. So that's a challenge right there. You know what I'm saying? So this idea that there's no exciting fights at 170, it's absolutely delusional. I get it. Maybe he's only talking about Salah Muhammad, but there's guys like Shavkat Rakhmonov. There's JDM coming up. Ian Gary. As much as I don't like him, he's a contender there. So there's a lot of guys coming up in the welterweight division, and they need to be given their opportunities to fight for the title. And like I said, Leon Edwards, he did something very impressive when he knocked out Kamaru Usman in the rematch and was able to win the trilogy in a not so impressive manner, in my opinion. But still very impressive to beat somebody like Kamaru Usman, who is considered the pound for pound best fighter in the world. But he still needs 2 to 3 title defenses, in my opinion, to have earned a shot at the middleweight title. And like I said, it's not like there's no movement in the middleweight division. There's a lot of movement nowadays. If anything, the middleweight division hasn't been as good as it is right now in a very, very long time. So I think we need to shut this down. And like I said, I think double champ fights need to be absolutely nerfed because it's becoming a problem in the UFC.